Welcome to Substation 33, where we'll teach you to take this and turn it into a 3D printer. Let's get started.
Pete's going to show us what's wrong with this printer. So this printer's got a problem with the Z-axis, so we're going to have a look at it now. He's going to show us the problem. So we're just going to try and do a auto home. Pete's just going to kick that off now. So it goes to the corners, and then it doesn't go down, it actually just goes up. So what's happening, what we're suspecting at the moment is there's a signal, the Z minimum, the Z min, the Z end stop, it's not getting a signal. So we're going to troubleshoot that now. So I'm just going to... So this is the proximity sensor on the printer, and yeah, you can see that there's a little red light on the top which comes on when there's a metal object a certain proximity away from the inductive. So first thing we're going to check is actually if the proximity sensor is working. So Pete's got a little bit of metal, he's just going to hold it under, and yes it is. So we're getting, you can see the LED activating, and so it is detecting. So now we're going to actually troubleshoot to see where the signal's going, or if there is a signal, and if it's getting to the board or not. So what we've got here, this is the wire to the proximity sensor that's on the extruder of the printer, and it breaks out into three wires. We've got a blue, which is ground, you've got a black, which is your signal, and you've got a brown, which gets connected to positive 12. And what we do, here's the voltage divider. So you've got a 56k and a 62k. And what it does is basically chop down the 12 volts to something just over 5 volts. So it doesn't cook your ramps or cook your Mega 2560. And so what happens is this is your output of your voltage divider, goes into the signal pin of the ramps. This is your Z-axis minimum input pin. This is the ground, and this is the 5 volts, which we can't use because we need to drive the proximity sensor with 12 volts, hence the 12 volt wire. Right, we've come to the back of the printer now. So next we're going to use a multimeter to actually test the signals from a proximity sensor. So I've grabbed the multimeter, just using a voltage and common probes, and I'm going to switch the multimeter on to just voltage DC. So I'm going to use it to measure some DC voltages. And what we're going to do is just put this on to put the negative onto ground, just a reference. And we're just going to check some voltages so we can check. Yeah, it would be great, Pete, thank you. So then we're going to test a few things. So we're going to first test the 12 volt rail. So this wire here, which is looks like it's blue. Trying to work out your colours. So I'm going to measure this one. 0.2. So that's your ground wire. Now the 12 volt I can't actually measure because I can't see where that wire's going. It's probably here, this brown one. Yeah, so obviously 12 volts there. It's all fine, yeah. So this is, yeah, I just did. So 12 volts. And this is the wire from the proximity sensor, the brown. So brown is plus 12. The blue is the blue wire here, that's your negative, so you can follow that through. So it goes blue, blue, then green, into this little test wire here. There's 0 volts there, it's all good. So we know the proximity sensor is getting power. So now we're going to read the output from the proximity sensor. So we're going to follow the black wire coming off the proximity sensor. This one here is the actual signal wire. So now I'm reading 10.6 volts, which is great. And Pete's going to put a piece of metal under the proximity sensor now. He's just going to hold it there. So now we've got the LED going off on the proximity sensor, and we've got 0 volts on here, which is a good sign. So now he's held away, it's gone back to 11, back to 0, yep, back to 11.
So it looks like that's working.
Yep, so that part's working. Now we're going to test on the other side of this resistor. So there's a voltage divider, and we're going to measure on the other side of this resistor. This is the signal wire going to the ramps, which has been unplugged at the moment, and we're just going to test to make sure we've got a good voltage going. So hang on, before you set it off, yep, I'm just going to check it, and I'm not getting... Okay, so here's a problem. So I'm not actually getting a voltage. I should be seeing 5 volts here, and I'm not seeing anything. So I'm seeing 80 millivolts, which is way too low. So we've got 10.6 volts here and literally 0 volts here. So there's a problem. So I'm going to next test the values of these resistors. So it's possible that someone's used the wrong values here. So we're now going to turn the, I'll get Pete to turn the printer off. I'm going to take power away. So wait for the fan to stop. I'm going to switch the multimeter to ohms, and we're just going to measure the resistances of this voltage divider. So first I'll measure this one here. No, that's alright, I'll just put it across. So 8.5k. So ideally we should really
8.5k?
Yeah, it's a weird value. But it could be, there could be some other, the problem is when you're doing this, there could be some other influences. Yeah. The rest of the circuitry can be affecting the actual measured voltage, but I'm just getting an approximate range. Now I can't quite get the probe onto this one easily.
It's 47k or 62k is basically, where's 80 anything?
And 4.4k. So someone's put the wrong resistor in here. So this is
0.4k.
Yep.
Okay.
So 470 ohms. So we've got a. So what's happening is this really low resistance is pulling this signal down to 0, and it shouldn't be. So someone's used the wrong resistor here.
Right. Okay.
That's where the problem is. So that's pretty much the troubleshooting done for this. We're back now. Peter has kindly replaced the resistors for us, and we've used for the voltage divider we've used a 62k and a 56k resistor, and that's, you can just look it up on the information provided with the printer to get that. Now we've turned the printer on again, and we're just going to measure the state while the proximity sensor is off. It's away from any metal object. So we're just going to measure to make sure that the voltage divider is giving us approximately 5 volts. So I'll just probe that area now. So put one of the probes on negative again, on ground, and the other is just on the output, so on the black wire, basically the signal wire going to the ramps, to the Z end stop signal wire. And you can see it's 5.3 volts, which is fine, well within range. And now what I'll do is I'll get Pete to put a piece of metal under the proximity sensor, and now we should see that voltage fall, and we have. So now it's down to 7 millivolts or 6 millivolts. So perfect. So yep, that's fine. So we know that this is now working. So the ramps, we assume that it's going to work, and we'll just give it a test just to make sure it does that. So we're just doing a test now, just an auto home. And I probably don't have the camera in the right place. So it's going down still, and you should see the light go off.
Whereas it wasn't going down at all before.
That's right. There we go. So you can see the light flashing on the top of the proximity sensor. Now it's activated, so it is working. So this one is now repaired and ready for further testing.
Right.
Thank you, Pete. So if we have another issue with another printer, we'll record that as well.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.